Thomas gets the job done. All the engines on Sodor were working hard. Thomas always wants to get the job done right away without confusion or delay. One morning, Thomas was at Brendam Docks when Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. "Thomas, you are to take that crate," said Sir Topham Hatt. "You are to take it down to Knapford Station." "Yes, sir," said Thomas. Cranky started to load the crate to the flatbed. Then, Thomas wasn't watching where he was going, that he biffed into the flatbed, and Cranky dropped the crate. Cranky was cross. "Watch where you're going," said Cranky. "Do you ever learn patience?" "Sorry," said Thomas sadly. At last the crate was on the flatbed and Thomas puffed away. Thomas puffed up to a junction. Arthur was there. He looked upset. "Hello, Arthur," said Thomas. "What's the matter?" "Hello, Thomas," said Arthur. "These troublesome trucks are being too troublesome. I can't even pull them." "Don't worry," said Thomas. "I'll help you." So Thomas was uncoupled from his flatbed, and then he helped Arthur. Arthur uncoupled from the troublesome trucks, and then he coupled up to Thomas's flatbed, and then Thomas coupled up to Arthur's trucks, and then he puffed away. Thomas puffed along the countryside. He was feeling happy. The troublesome trucks sang, "Chop, chop, chop. Arthur can't pull, so he needs Thomas. But we will cause Thomas to derail, because he's not useful." "Ha!" laughed the trucks. "Quiet," said Thomas crossly. "Says the one who can't even move on their own. You guys need engines in order to move," said Thomas. Then there was trouble. The trucks pushed Thomas, that Thomas bumped into Douglas, and Douglas bumped into Donald. Donald was cross. "Which way are you going, Douglas?" said Donald. "It wasn't me," said Douglas. "Yes, it was," said Donald. "No, it wasn't." "It was." "Was not." "It was." "Was not." "It was." "Sorry," said Thomas, and then he rushed away. Then there was trouble. The troublesome truck started pushing Thomas. "Faster, faster, on, yelled the cars. Thomas was surprised. "Cinders and ashes," cried Thomas. Then there was trouble. James was coming by with flatbeds of ice cream. "Look out, James," cried Thomas. James stopped just in time. Then Thomas applied his brakes, but it was too late. Ice cream went up in the air and landed all over Thomas and James. James was very cross. "Look what you did, Thomas," said James. "Now I can't even get my job done on time." "Sorry, James," said Thomas, and then he rushed away. At last, Thomas got the trucks to behave, but he was still feeling grumpy. "At least I got all of you to behave," said Thomas crossly. Then there was trouble. Thomas was so grumpy he didn't see that he was diverted into a siding. Then Thomas biffed the buffers and came right off the tracks. "Cinders and ashes," cried Thomas. "Now I can't get the job done." Thomas's driver telephoned for help. Thomas felt terrible. "Now I'll never get the job done. There'll be no ice cream, or no crates, or no nothing. And it's all my fault," said Thomas sadly. Emily came to clear away the cars. And Edward arrived with Rocky. At last, Rocky lowered Thomas back onto the tracks. Sir Topham Hatt was cross. Well, Thomas, said Sir Topham Hatt, you've caused confusion and delay. You were supposed to deliver that crate. Instead, you had Arthur do it, and you also took Arthur's troublesome trucks, and this is what happened. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir, said Thomas. Thomas felt terrible. Thomas puffed sadly along the countryside. At last, Thomas puffed sadly to Knapford. Sir Topham Hatt was waiting. Sir Topham Hatt saw that Thomas was sad. He felt sorry for him. Cheer up, Thomas, said Sir Topham Hatt. At least you got the job done on time. You are a really useful engine. Thank you, sir, said Thomas happily.